Hello. Good morning. It's working.
Hello, Josh. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
Everything is good. Hello.
Hi,
Been
Josh.
over for other meetings here. How's everybody's week going? Is it summer for anyone here?
It's winter. It's freezing.
Yeah, winter for me too. Although not too bad here. I'm in Chicago, so we're at around 0 Celsius, and that's actually
You're in Chicago as
warm.
well? I'm in Evanston.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should get together for lunch. I'm in Skokie. I'm like,
Oh yeah, you're
Go
right
NU.
there.
Go
Yeah.
UNU. That's my former university.
Amazing. Yeah, I actually I finished my MBA from Kellogg in June. So it's been here. And then my fiance has one more year left at Kellogg. So I guess I'm in Evanston.
Congrats
Yeah.
on you graduating and nearly there. I'm in London now, but I
Amazing.
was where I went to uni and spent about another 5 years or so in Chicago afterwards. So
That's awesome.
well, KubeCon next year. I guess we're all getting together in Evanston or something. That's here in Chicago for folks that don't know. But seriously, I mean, we should try to like get coffee or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that.
All right. I'll share the doc here, so everyone knows where we're taking notes. All right, so I guess let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to waste people's time. Our goal, this is a working meeting to jumpstart the next steps, I guess, on the paper. So jumpstart the next step. So I put some stuff in here. I think the agenda is to first kind of discuss how to, now that we've got the paper on GitHub and stuff, talk about how we want to collaborate there. It's a bit of a change from the Google Doc. We've started to pick up sections. So I'm kind of thinking after we talk about that, we'll go through each section. And if people want to own it, great. If there's something hot that we need to talk about on it, we can. And then maybe set some dates, just to give ourselves, where we're going towards. Light a fire. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through this agenda here. So the first thing is procedures for edits. Abhinav and I were discussing. Oh yeah, someone want to add?
No, sir. Sorry. Just cross conversation here. No worries.
Oh, okay. Just feel free to jump in and stop me, or I'll just keep on going. Procedures for edit. So one thing Abhinav and I were discussing is how to, like, if we have a chunky edit, and what I was thinking is we submit PRs against that branch, and then we can chat in those. I was thinking like meatier topics, or we can talk either in the issues that are per section, if it's a couple things, or we could open other issues or discussions. And then something that worked for me in Node.js a long time ago was we would tag if there was a hot item that we wanted to discuss in like a broader meeting, so we would just tag that, and then we would just have a list. So if something hot comes up and you want to talk it over with the group, just tag it, and then we'll talk. We probably won't need so many one-off meetings. Hopefully we'll just do it in the platform's VG meetings, regular ones. So yeah, that was kind of some thoughts that we had kind of thrown around, I guess, with a couple of people and things. And if you have more thoughts on.
just notice the published date. Is that something that you like basically verified with people that if we get that content ready and things, we can. Oh, sorry. If we're going to go down in order, sorry.
Yes, but I could switch
that. We did jump the gun.
maybe that would help to do that next. So I'll move it up. This was just a proposal. Again, I better or worse, I always like to think over what we're going to discuss before we come in. So I kind of thought over like, but it's relevant. If you want to take responsibility for a section, I'm kind of thinking let's get them, edit ready, draft ready, near publish ready by the end of February, March 1st, and then take, it gives us a month to kind of make sure that things are consistent, go over the last details, get like a real copy editor to go over it, I did open a thread with the PR folks at CNCF, and they basically said like it's up to us. There's no, learn from other folks if we want. Yeah, we could talk about that. One thing that's really cool, Colin was just texting me, is that at least I think it's cool, is what the Cartographos, the cloud native maturity model folks did, which is basically create a small website, static website, I guess, with the paper.
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit if you want. Just like
Hold on that. Oh, you want to? Yeah. Why don't we put that next after the reviewing the sections? That's what I really want to make sure we cover here. Would that be okay, Colin?
Yeah, totally.
So, Cartographos works. And then, yeah, okay. So let's jump into the actual content, and I'll just work from these milestones. So this kind of lists the sections that we came out with. That was kind of one of the top goals of the initial doc, was to kind of get consensus on what are the core sections here. So now what we need is, keeping in mind that our goal for this first paper is to kind of build the market for platform engineering, to kind of help, executive leaders, enterprise architects, stuff like that, build the case themselves, pitch the case to others. So I just mentioning that. So like when you take leadership of one of these sections, like we'll keep that in mind. So yeah, let's go through and talk about them, I guess. The first one is what is a platform, which kind of came up in the thread with Abby from the team topology folks. Yeah, this is more of an intro, because we do get into like attributes of a platform. So this is more, I guess, generally to kind of set the stage and, the first layer of the onion.
Mhm.
I mean, now I know you had volunteered in here. I did not get a chance yet to read over what Thomas had written there. We can have more than one owner too. I mean, if that's all right with you all.
Yeah, absolutely. It should definitely be, collaborative, right? And yeah, I'm sure, folks will want to contribute to multiple sections as well. So I think we should definitely have that. I think, in the what is a platform section, I think it might be good to kind of have like some parts about like what are the personas involved, right? And where I was thinking there is, I definitely think they're, when we think about the platform engineering team, they're of course serving developers, right? And that's kind of, their end goal. They want to make developers happy. They want to make application delivery faster. But in order to do that, I think there are some, things like governance controls, making sure access is secure, like a bunch of things that they need to figure out on their end, right, for the platform to scale, right? And it's like, how is the platform consumable by the platform admin or by whoever's managing this from the SRE or IT point of view, right? And so, and I think kind of ties in with what Thomas was commenting, right? There is IDP is definitely one part of it. I think there are other parts of it. For example, maybe, if you're using Kubernetes, potentially like a Kubernetes governance layer. Is there auth that you have to take care of? Because if you're serving multiple personas, they're running on the same infrastructure or on the same platform, then there's different, you have to take care of auth as well to make sure, like, certain users might have different responsibilities on the platform itself as well. So I think like, I think from that stance, probably some, at least from my eyes, there could be a way we could maybe, talk about the personas, their pain points a little bit, and then try to tie it into like, and I don't know if this is the right section to do it, but it was just kind of my 2 cents. Yeah.
I think the one concern is that is like what I hear you saying is exactly what the whole paper is trying to achieve. And this is like the intro section. So how do we set the stage well for each of those points to be properly covered, like in their sections? Because you're right, like we don't mention some of those things in here. And so does that mean that they get kind of hidden in their subsection? So how do we like
Yeah.
tease without trying to like rewrite the paper into the intro. I think is like that's the hardest part about this, any intro, let alone this one with such a meaty paper behind it. So
Agreed. I think it'd be good to talk about like kind of the personas first and kind of their general pain points, even before, like, you know, how we talk about it, like, so challenges of platforms kind of talks about like, okay, once you have this platform, here are like some of the challenges, right? Whereas I think there's some more higher level pain points, right? For example, like developers having to, like one example could be like developers having to go through a like cumbersome ticketing process to request for infrastructure, right? That's like one, or there's no self-service model, right? So they have to always have like ops intervene, right? That's kind of like a higher level pain point that facilitates the need for a platform, for example, right? And then once we talk about like what is a platform, then there's challenges with platforms, attributes of platforms, capabilities of platforms. I think then that could line up well, but you kind of tie it back to solving those higher level pain points. And then in the success metrics section, your KPIs and anything can kind of meet to addressing those pain points at the top, if that makes sense. So
I think to your point, Josh, about Matthew, it's Matthew, I think they responded to me. Somebody responded to me from Team Topologies. I think that's their concern with our paper, if I'm honest, is that we are saying a platform is only a platform if it is self-service and automated and doesn't involve ops and has all sorts of, and covers everything to do with the cloud and all that. And I think, so in my opinion, like a platform at what they're trying to get across to me, I think, and I'm reading in between the lines from having read the book and have a bit of a sense of where they're coming from, but I can verify this with them. But I think what they're trying to say is a platform is a place to go for solutions. That place to go for solutions might be a Jira project with templates for asking for things to start with, right? And what we're saying is that we've seen why that could lead to bottlenecks at certain scales and at certain requirements and things, and we are providing solutions for how to make that better. But I think that when we're talking about what we want to get across in this paper, we as a group aren't writing Team Topologies. They've written a fantastic book and it absolutely has a place in the industry. We aren't writing it again. So we need to decide, or do we want to go with the, hey, a platform is a single place to go. And by the way, if these are the things you're going to want to do as you scale that platform, so you're going to want to make it self-service and all these things, or do we want to jump kind of straight past that sort of entry level point and go to like a platform is self-service and which I think like my personal opinion on that, when we're talking about enterprises, which Josh, reminded us that that's our kind of target audience here, is like enterprise architects and things like that. I think I see both sides, because a lot of those enterprises, they can't just stop on a dime and pivot to like 100% automated, shiny, new, perfect platform. So talking about the fact that a platform is about collating all of the like offerings that you have, and some of them are going to be a bit more self-service than others maybe, but it's like a place where you can go to look for help, might land quite well with enterprises. But at the same time, we don't want to
100%
make people feel too comfortable in their world of large tickets and large queues and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of I don't know. I see both sides a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's why if we had the pain points at the top and we talk, like maybe we phrase it in terms of maybe not self-service, but time. Like if there's just like, here's the amount of time it takes for a developer to do X, Y, and Z, and like your KPI success metric, it could involve self-service as an organization, but maybe you're a large healthcare company and you need more controls, right? Like just that's your kind of like we've seen that before. Like we're working with a finance company and they have to approve everything in Terraform no matter what, right? Like even though Terraform has automation and everything, right? So it could be that like self-service is one way to get there, but the more important metric is how do you reduce the time it takes for developers, to ultimately get to their end goal, whether that's, spinning up environments or testing application changes, whatever that thing is, right? And so I think the pain points at the top would be great to have those a little bit kind of higher level. And as you're saying, Abby, like very enterprise oriented. So it's not diving too deep into like, here's the exact model that you have to fit as a company, right? Because every company and every industry is going to be so different. at the end of the day. And like we're here to provide recommendations is my guess, but probably like, and some example, like, you know, best practices, but not like have them say that, hey, self-service is a requirement necessarily, right?
So I want to just kind of go through. I hear what you're saying. I mean, I have a lot of the, you know, it's good to call out what the motivations are, I guess, for why people would want a platform. I kind of thought, you know, maybe it would help to like look through these holistically, and that's why I brought up my screen here and kind of the story that we're telling. Because I also am kind of thinking like some of those things would fit well into some of these upcoming sections. So what is a platform is kind of, you know, laying the foundation, but like, for example, why platforms is really talking about the things that it all, you know, the platform is ultimately going to answer, the problems that people are hitting, reduce risk of security, regulatory, functional issues, cost-effective, productive use. So maybe those fit a little further in. I mean, this first one is going to reflect everything, kind of. So I'm kind of thinking maybe like in why platforms, you might be able to put in, like, in fact, we might even retitle this to, you know, motivations for platforms. Platform attributes also kind of has these 8 qualities, you know, things like self-service, consistent interfaces, documented, automatable. I'm kind of thinking that, you know, maybe we should explore those first rather than putting them into the top. Maybe let's keep going down the rest of them and see how this goes. So let's go to why platforms. Like, so this one, yeah, I'll just open it. Here is motivation. This is, you know, what would motivate a team to consider a platform. What values, what business values, how is this going to move their business? How is this going to affect, you know, whether it's, you know, security or regulation, whether it's saving money, faster innovation. That's kind of the stuff that goes in here. I think in particular here, use cases, like I feel like I'm short of this. My use cases are, you know, put up a development environment, do some observation, but maybe there's something more specific or we could elaborate there. I'll stop for a second on that. This is, yeah. No, Rob.
I wonder if this is the area to include the section about the, or maybe frame it from a perspective of developers wanting to use things. So use case, because I think for this first point, one maybe a reductionist, but a simpler way of saying this could be that like developers need they need to use they want to use capabilities of the platform, but they think about these as features because they, like, when a developer wants to run their workload, like they think like, I need Postgres database, like I need a database. They're not thinking about the totality of the complexity involved in making sure that the database exists, or how it comes to existence, or like what are all the pieces that it's wired into. What they appreciate from the platform, when consuming the platform, is that I can just use a database and the platform takes care of the complexity of that. Like that is the ease of use of that, of being able to use it, is the value that the users get. And I wonder if there's if there's a way to maybe this is the section where to kind of include that. I'm not sure what your thoughts are about this.
I think we have some of those use cases a bit below, about like a developer requiring services perhaps can be expanded with some more detail. T1. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the next list. Yeah.
Well, so let me just, yeah, I hear you. So this was that overall a platform abstract the underlying complexity of all of these capabilities or features from the developer. And that's one of the, you know, the core whys. Is that, am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's the value that developers are
Yeah.
looking to get from the platform. Like they want to play by the rules. They want to get their work done. They don't like, they want it to work easily for them. They don't necessarily have an opinion of how the platform team gets that done. I think that separation between the desire to just use the platform versus the complexity of fulfilling those, that the ability to think about the platform in that way is actually what the platform provides. That's actually a benefit of the platform, is a developer can think about the platform this way. Because the flip side to that is what we see with some of our clients, where the platform exposes Terraform as a way of provisioning, and now to get anything done, they're getting into like the networking layer of how the database becomes available to their workload, and they're just like, I didn't come here for this, you know. So it's I don't know if there's a way to kind of highlight that that quality of the platform being something the developer can use without having to think about the details.
I wonder if it just means expanding a little bit on the cognitive load piece there in the first. Exactly what you guys are saying. Like it gives us a framework to operate within. It gives us kind of a rule book. It tells us how we need to do things and gives us the tools to do those things. And so then I don't have to think about it. Like sometimes developers just want to be told what to do, or how they should do something. And the platform gives me a framework to do that within. And I can follow the rules and get what I need, right? So maybe cognitive load is just a little bit too, heady, or however you want to say that.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yes,
I'm sitting here kind of here on this line. Yeah, can we expand that a bit?
So these are the conversations I think, Josh, that you're aiming to drive out. I think you said by end of Feb, and like kind of come to wrap up and get conclusions. If I'm right, you were trying to aim to get like people who could help shepherd those, kind of, so either a person or a pair of people to help with each of those like 8 sections. Is that what the kind of goal of this? I don't know if we want to try and workshop the stuff in this meeting, or if we're trying to get figure out who's going to be able to workshop them in this meeting. What's your hope?
A little of both, because I want us to get a feel for like what this might look like. But yeah, what I'm hoping is that exact conversation that we just had, like we can have it here in GitHub to some degree, or have it if there's a few people working on it, you have a chat in Slack. But yeah, or somebody submit a PR, against that section of the paper, and elaborate on this if we feel it's appropriate. But folks, I'm looking to kind of figure out how we're going to go forward. But also, yes, I would like someone that feels passionate about defining that and making sure that this is right. Yeah, just drop your name in here, and we'll put you down as a sign.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yes, sir.
And I think what we can do is we can, if folks want to contribute to a specific section, Abby, if you're okay with it, maybe they could just comment in that specific thing, saying like, I'd like to contribute to this thing, and then we can kind of have like joint working sessions over Zoom, just kind of on the side, just to kind of work on these things together as a team. I think that'd be a nice kind of collaborative way to do it as well.
Absolutely. Like I think might be best to try and get as much as we can in like kind of the collaboration in GitHub, rather than requiring video calls, just because of time zones and things would be personally, that would work out a little bit better for me. And also allow you to kind of be informed about more than one section, rather than needing to be like kind of all in on a section to like understand how it's evolving a bit. But I think that's sort of the, like, if there's someone who's helping shepherd something along, that's like sort of part of what they can help do. I think from my perspective, Josh, I'm happy to help with any of these. So like, I'm not going to throw my name into any one of the sections as like, I absolutely feel like that's the section I most want to help make sure wraps up nicely. But if there's one left or whatever, I'm happy to do it, or I'm happy just to make comments across. So yeah.
So So Josh, you're muted.
You should talk. Go. I talk enough.
Yes. So Josh, I'm just thinking about, like, I think, I believe when you start working on the papers like this, what we are working on, there are some of the stuff that is actually make available in the different places, but the sequence of words and the sequence of how you define and how you portray is change. So what I feel like there's some of the stuff is overlap between some of the stuff. So let's say we talk about why the platform. We talk about why the platform, but some of the stuff is actually correlate with, let's say, platform team and attributes. And those stuff might be added into the why the platform section is. But I think some of the sections, if owned, let's say the why platform section is owned by one person, so it's mean he's only working on that part. So in moving forward, anybody else can make changes into it. So if we have, if team members try to add on different places, so we might end up having same thinking on the different section of the paper. So I think that we need to figure out as well.
And may I add something as well? Hi, I'm Leon. I just wanted to make a comment about what we're discussing right now, which is I think we can all work on every part of the document. I think we should, just to like make sure that we keep the same tone throughout the entire document. But I feel like the idea of having one person responsible, or one or two people, is just to make sure that, you know, the suggestions that get in there edited correctly, you know, like just like it's more administrative work than it is about you know, curating the content of it. I think that is more like a team effort. But I do feel like if we just say like, oh, everyone's just doing everything, then there will be sections that maybe someone's just like, maybe that are just not as interesting to all of us, that just will be neglected. So I do think like one person to be responsible for a section is important. I think that's a better way to go.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's why that's my concern was absolutely like somebody own the correct order of the suggestion being made to this paper, and they will make sure like what the previous history and what the next history was, to make sure the changes are reflected appropriately.
I like the way you called out there, Leon, that the owner is not the only person thinking about the content, and their first responsibility is make sure that we gather in the feedback, integrate it, and that we're ready to go, I guess, at the end of February.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most important thing, right? That by that deadline, it's ready to be reviewed.
So on that point, maybe it would help. There are two I know in particular which could use some work. Platform, these were added later. Platform challenges, which are, you know, the summarized list right now of top things that, you know, platform adopters might run into. I think we're including that because we, you know, our goal is to support, you know, enterprise architects and adopters, and when they hit these challenges, best to know in advance that they're going to hit them or try to avoid them so they're not discouraged. Could use some leadership there. Say measuring success. This one is particularly weak. It's mostly links and, you know, some known things like Dora metrics. But if somebody has, you know, I don't know, I'd almost want to put a case study or, you know, a little more depth there. Could definitely use a little bit of content work even in these areas. So I'll call those two out.
So you mentioned measuring success. What was the other one? The other section?
Challenges.
Challenges.
So, yeah, so platform challenge. I'll just skip to these for a second, but challenges. Platforms probably about the values, be challenges. And I would just say, like, if you know what we need to think about here is what to prepare our audience for. Are these the right things? Are we capturing? There's tons of articles out there, but. And then metrics too, and this one, here, I'll bring it up right here. We had some suggestions, things like time for a new contributor to get to their 10th PR, that's the Spotify metric. Here's the Dora metrics. A couple of people reached out, and I could, you know, if So the goal of this is also to, again, inform those architects and leaders, like, okay, so they want to do platforms, but they're not just going to go into it blindly. What are the things they should be looking for to show they're succeeding, or the opposite? I actually there was somebody on, there's a couple people doing research into, developer experience and how to measure developer success. If I can put people in contact, like the Microsoft folks that did the space framework.
So I think here as well in the metrics section, be happy to take a look. I think the thing is there's kind of some metrics for your developers as well as a platform team, like continuously improving, right? So I'm sure there's some KPIs that we can come up with here, and also in terms of the challenges too. One big one that I was thinking about is, we've mentioned a lot of the capabilities and open source tooling, which is great, right? I think, we want to make it as open as possible. I think there is a challenge on the platform teams to stitch all of that together, right? And continuously, enforce that, upgrade, scale, like all of those kind of challenges that a platform team will have to deal with at some point, right? Especially as they introduce more and more capabilities onto the platform. And so I think there's some way we could probably tie those two together. Like, hey, here's a challenge when it comes to those, a lot of these open source tooling. Here's some, success metrics that can allow you to, and here are the kind of things you need as you scale further out or integrate more capabilities into your platform potentially. Some just, my 2 cents, but something we can think about there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I almost think that you're saying this section, which we introduced into the platform teams, which is challenges that they might encounter, might actually fit here. So challenges with platforms should include challenges with platform teams.
Yep. Just because I think it's like, of course, there's a challenge from a platform in terms of there's like the consumer and the producer of the thing, right? And I think both are going to face challenges at the end of the day. So I
feel like it's very difficult to get people to commit. So I'm just going to break this here and say I'm happy to take over platform challenges just so we can actually start, assigning things, because you feel like we're just constantly discussing the content.
I would like to support whoever is going to be leading the work on the why platforms are valuable. I'd be happy to support someone on that. I don't know if I can commit to driving it though, or like overseeing its correctness. I think that I might not be able to do that, but I can support for sure.
I'm happy to work with you on that, Terrace, if that's okay with you.
Okay, that's great.
And I hear you that I would be the lead. That's okay too.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Can folks put their name in would you mind replying in there? Because I don't necessarily know everyone's GitHub handle. And then I can just mark you as assigned. And yeah, is there any other, do we want to discuss any other topics here? Yeah, platform attributes, platform team attributes. This might be the place where we talk with the team topologies folks. Capabilities I put myself down for. This is actually my favorite part of the whole thing. Kind of working out rationalizing those. This isn't the main place for it, but it's just a concise summary. I kind of wanted this to be a jumping off point for the technical standards and kind of work. So I put myself down here and we started some discussion.
Yeah, and I think on the capability section, so if you're fine with also some more comments there, I think it looks really great, Josh, and it's really comprehensive. So I think there were just a couple of minor things that we just wanted to ask about as well. So we'll probably Sam or I will probably comment on that at some point as well.
I have one quick question on content. Platform capability providers, is that a subsection of what is a platform, or does that belong somewhere else?
I put that there when we had the discussion about a month ago about, you know, the layers of a platform, and we needed, because we were talking about, you know, who the people that actually run the database, who are they? Like, what do we call that team? Is it an infrastructure team? What is it? So we came up with that generic term, platform capability provider, a provider. I felt like I needed to define that, or we felt like we needed to define that there. But you know, if we can get that point across, or if that's not necessary, we can, you know, that's motivation at the moment for being there.
I might be able to work on that a little bit, or I'm going to put my name on the what is a platform to participate, but I was just getting my head in front of that.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
left
I
a
saw you
comment.
throw your name under the Y. I put my hand up, but as I said, I'm happy to take on any of them. The only one I'm hesitant about taking on, both due to the commitment of time and also my experience, is the measuring one. But otherwise, Josh, if you find that we're overloaded on a section, feel free to move my name around. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wrote a comment on the platform attributes that also without a name, I can, work with that. But as
That's a
already
big
said, like,
overlap with why.
yeah, I'll probably like comment on different issues, and then, like Ian said, more like the administrative part on this section. I think it's important to have the whole picture, because there are like, it's all the same topics, but the depth of each part of it will be different based on the section. So it's important to have the same flow and the same, like, a good flow of reading.
Yep.
I'd like to add to whoever's going to be doing the work on attributes of platform teams. I'd like to add comments about DX teams, because I think that's like we have a lot of experience with that, because that's primarily a customer that we work with, and they interface with you know, what would be a more typical platform team. But we're also seeing other kinds of teams emerging, like API registry teams. So I'd like to add, whoever's going to be working on the attributes of platform teams, I could provide some additional information for that section. Is there someone who's going to be driving that section?
I just noticing the Robert asked for it, but I can check in with him. He's my co-lead.
Yeah, I'll add myself to that. The other thing I want to mention is that challenges of platforms is that one thing we're seeing is that there isn't a consistent understanding of what a platform is across the different platform teams, which in itself could be a challenge, because it's like a bunch of different teams talking about building platforms, but they don't have the same conception of what a platform is. So that might be something to call out. So I'll add that as a comment.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right. So we actually have, and Colin, I think, Colin, I'll put you on, I don't know, we got a lot of people to help on the what is the platform section. I think there'll be a lot of involvement there. The only one that, we'll figure out how to add you. We could be more than one on each one. I don't want too many though. I think probably 2 max, at least for leads, but just chime in as much as you want. The one I don't have right now is metrics.
Well, I think we can offer to help it initially on the what is the metrics too. Maybe Sam, you can if you're okay with it, we can start there. But I think we'll definitely need a little bit of it'd definitely be good to have maybe even Taras, I don't know if like you're working a lot with platform teams, so kind of, you know, what have you seen as success criteria? It'd be great to get your input there, right? Based on the projects you're working on, like what is kind of the success criteria that you define going into these projects? I think that would be super helpful from a metrics point.
I think in general, I think part of the challenge here is that this is actually something that's being actively developed. Like it's not there. It's hard to. It's kind of early, you know. Mm-hmm. So they're not. There aren't really good references yet, but I'll do my best to try to find things that I can. But I actually have access to a bunch of some platform design docs, so I could see if I could find something.
Yeah, exactly. Those would be great. I think I was thinking of taking a look at some of the. I know sometimes Humanitech will in their blog posts will address certain things from a that they're trying to solve for. Maybe we take a look at those and convert those into measurable metrics and everything. But I'm happy to kind of take an initial stab as well on that.
Yeah, one thing Josh had talked about before a few weeks ago or a month ago was actually interviewing some companies, I think, and getting companies involved. I'd like to continue to help work toward that some, and that seems like it feeds well into metrics, because maybe even if there aren't some clear, hard, obvious metrics in place, maybe there's at least some what are companies doing and what are companies measuring that could come out of that.
Exactly. Yeah, like that blog post that I sent out, this the Ramesh and Palo Alto, right? So I was planning on reaching out to him at some point soon. So because I think he kind of likes showing thought leadership in this area as well. So I'm sure he'd want to be involved and kind of share his stories and everything. And I think another actually really good thing to that's been helping me a little bit is on LinkedIn. I followed one of the PMs for Backstage. So then they're kind of talking about, hey, there's a new adopter of Backstage. It's a new adopter of Backstage. So that we can kind of use that as well to expand our network into kind of different platform success stories, or folks who are building platforms and kind of the pain points and success criteria that they're measuring.
That would be amazing. Like we were saying, we do want to get closer to project users, and if you're passionate about that, Abhinav, I would love some help. It dropped in, we started a long time ago, and we need to iterate on this. But there's this like almost like survey framework, which you got a couple people to contribute to. But maybe we iterate, have a list of questions, and then if you do find people to interview, I'm happy to participate. I would love to see your notes and learn from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did a recent survey actually just for it's more along the lines of like more along the lines of provisioning environments and that kind of stuff, but it does tie into like developer pain points. So if there's some data that I need to talk with my marketing team, of course, first, but if there's some data that from there that's relevant, would be happy to share that as well. So I'm sure
Abhinav, if we can make if we could put together a kind of a script of things that we could talk to, then I could probably get, working with Francesco, I could probably get a bunch of like product managers from teams that are leading Backstage projects to give us to answer those questions for us. So we can work on that together.
Yeah, let's work on that together. That sounds great. Absolutely.
Yeah, do you think we could start like a Slack conversation or something on that?
Let's do that. I could create like a Slack group or whatever, and let's just
and I'm sure there's some sort of thing that we need to follow to make sure, like if we're asking on behalf of CNCF, or like I don't know what the rules are. I want to make sure I follow the rules. I wish there was a platform for this.
Yeah, there were. I'll try to look around.
Yeah.
I know there have been a couple of the other groups have done things like this. I'll try to take a look around. I did share in the chat where we could iterate on this template thing in GitHub and use that as like the foundation if you all want to. Not everybody. We have to determine if everybody wants their stuff published here, but. Yeah, let's start a thread. I mean, if you don't mind, Abhinav and Taras, if you want to start the thread.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so I think we've about covered what we were trying to accomplish today. Is there anything else? I did one other thing we said is, Colin, maybe you just want to quickly show us what Cartographos had done.
Yeah, and I probably don't need to really screen share, but I can kind of walk people through what we've talked about a little bit. So I've been hanging out in the Cartographers group a little bit as well. And one thing that came up in their call following the platform's call last week was they have a website that was just published or was getting published at the time on the CNCF site. And what they're actually doing is they're using the website as a part of their publishing workflow. It seems like they're using it as like the final draft, right? So they have the internal workings in GitHub and their reference papers. They have a folder called reference, and then they have another folder called website. And they update website with the latest agreed upon definitions, maturity model, whatever's there. It sounds like I talked to Chris Abraham, who put together the site there, and it said that the contribute page and the glossary page at the CNCF are using the same framework. And we could probably just follow the same pattern, to be honest, and just publish what we think is like that version, but as the website. And it sounds like there's some prior art in the CNCF for getting it actually listed as part of the, you know, publicly available resources, which would be really cool. But it seems like a really straightforward way to enforce some Git workflow for us in a publishing workflow as well. And I'm happy to kind of take the ball on getting at least that example framework in there in a self-hosted version. And they even have the dev flow of, if you want to get involved with the project, clone the website, right? And then here's how you get the website running. So some cool stuff there.
Yes, Josh. I also work on the CNCF glossary side as well. So basically, it's a Docker. It's all the Docker container. You run it, and both the maturity model and the glossary is using the same analogy. So we can use that as well. But if you look at the cloud native maturity model, if you look at the left panel, there's a heading section, and you click on that, and then it's going to be give that to that section as well. For the platform, from the platform side, I think if we do use the same approach, we have to come up with a very short list of left-hand panel. Otherwise, the list goes so long that people don't get overwhelmed to see how do we read and actually grasp all the concepts.
Yeah, it's interesting that doc is multi-part. Maybe ours is just one page, at least for now, but.
Yeah, there seems to be, there's a lot more content, and all of their stuff was already inherently multi-page anyway. So ours should be more simplistic out of the gate. But it's a doxy site.
It's a nice idea if we're trying to consider this a jumping off point for deeper analysis, to like start the framework of having a website to then be able to add to it, like with the deeper stuff. It's a really nice kind of gateway into that.
Yeah, we could add like developer stories or reference architectures as future sections down the road, potentially. Cool.
Yeah, if somebody wants to work on that, feel free. I just posted the issue where I guess you could we could talk about this, how we're going to publish it. So there's a couple links in there, and yeah, we don't need someone to sign up right this second, but somebody wants to give it a try.
What's the issue called? Sorry, I'm just trying to find it.
281, we say publish platforms paper, and it discusses some of these options. I put a link to the cartographers in there a little too. Yeah. So, any other topics for discussion while you've got all these great folks here? All right. So, yeah, I think I need to create the tag for tagging, so you can let us know if you want to discuss something in the next meeting. And otherwise, yeah, we'll work asynchronously in GitHub and Slack. And don't be a stranger. Thank you, everyone, for your contribution. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Thank you for facilitating.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Have a great day. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.